Well, the world is doing well. If you look at it from 2010, at the peak of this pandemic, the world has been reducing new infections dramatically and also reducing deaths. So progress is there. At our last count, we know that there are 41 million people living with HIV, and out of those, 32.1 million are on treatment. That's success. We also know that deaths have been coming down, and last year deaths were about 570,000 people dying of AIDS-related illnesses globally. That's a huge reduction of close to 58% since 2010. However, this global progress masks many things. One, that it is uneven. That Sub-Saharan Africa is the region making fastest progress, but other regions, new infections, instead of dropping, are rising. That's one. So success is uneven. Secondly, it's fragile. There are threats. Right now, two big threats face the global response. One is a sharp decline in external assistance, overseas development assistance, for the countries mostly in Africa that depended on financial support, external support. But secondly, a huge pushback on human rights that drives many people at risk away from life-saving services. So those two come together to threaten, to make the response fragile.
We have this great strategy of 95, 95, 95. 95% to know their status, 95 to undergo treatment, 95 to suppress the virus. But I know it's financially demanding, and based on what we are experiencing globally at the moment, we have so many international budget threats, and some of the regimes refuse to support, and they prefer to support their domestic economies. I'd like to know from you how we're doing in terms of funding major projects like this of 95, and whether how much of a progress we're doing in that strategy.
What you've just mentioned, we call treatment targets. There are targets for 95% people are tested, they know their status, 95 get on treatment, 95% of those also adhere, and they are virally suppressed, so they are not spreading the virus. So those treatment targets have been reached by some countries, by the way. Countries here in Africa, countries like Swaziland, like Rwanda, like Zimbabwe, have hit those targets. So they are achievable, those treatment targets. Tanzania hasn't achieved them, but is coming closer and closer to achieving them. So this success, as I have mentioned, has been steady, of reducing infections, reducing deaths, putting people on treatment. But as I said, it is threatened today. If you take a country like Tanzania or other low-income countries of Africa, which happen to be also the high-burdened HIV countries, these countries were putting in their own resources, but also getting significant support from external, from funders. Now, without that funding, they have to make a quick shift to domestically finance in order to maintain that steady progress. It isn't easy, but we see signs that it's happening. The transition is happening.